Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I am on Titan right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and check on Zer and see what he has for this weekend. So, as you guys probably know by now, but to those who are totally new to the game, Zer comes into the game on Fridays, and he stays until Monday reset. Now, the reset time depends on where you are in the world. Um, if you're on Bungie's time, then the reset will be 10 a.m. I believe if you're on the East Coast, like I am of the United States, then the reset time is at 1 p.m. But that's every day. There's a daily reset. And so on Friday, when we hit the daily reset, Zer shows up somewhere. And he can be in several different places, but there's usually players running around looking for him once the daily reset kicks in on Friday. So today he is in the tower, and wherever he is as far as location, whether it's a moon or a planet or the tower, he's in the same spot. Like, he'll pick the same exact position within that location. So once you find out what the location is, you'll know where he's going to be. Now, when he's on in the tower, he's in the tower hangar. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I had a day off instead of a holiday. That's probably unfortunate, but that's what ended up happening. Okay, so you come up the stairs here, and
the deep black is many things.
That's him.
Never lonely. I bring gifts of the Nine, gifts you sorely need.
Okay, so yes, he does look like he's got, I don't know, seaweed coming out of his face, and his eyes are glowing, and he's sort of twitching, and I'm not sure what's going on with all that, but the Nines are a peddler of strange, curious, or curios. Zer's motives are not his own. He bows to his distant masters, the Nine. Now, who the Nine are, I'm not sure. But as far as I can tell, they're like these mystical beings that have a watch, or they keep watch over everything. So yeah, he shows up, and then on Monday, at the Monday reset, he will disappear, or at least he's supposed to disappear. Sometime he doesn't at reset, but he should. So this is the exotic Engram. This can be anything. Now, I'm a Titan, so if I grab it now, it should drop it's supposed to drop as a Titan exotic. So that's what usually happens. So if you want something for your Warlock, then you come here with Warlock. Hunter, you come here with Hunter. I don't need anything for Titan right now, so I'm gonna skip over this. We've got the Wardcliff Coil. This is actually good. Shoots a long volley of rockets. It's just I haven't used it in forever. I really haven't. The hard cap as far as light level for this season is 1570, so it's a point below that. So you can just infuse it up 1 point in terms of light level. But volatile launch, extended mag, which is going to decrease the reload speed, even though it increases your magazine size. But see, this is the weird part about it. It says it greatly increases your magazine size, but look at your magazine. You can only fire one volley. So you only got one shot per magazine. So I'm not sure why they have extended mag on here, because it doesn't do anything. It doesn't increase the magazine size from one shot to two shots, but it still takes away from your reload speed. So that's really a negative modifier, kind of. I didn't notice that before, but yeah. Then it's got this weapon automatically reloads on ammo pickup. Okay. And then it's got composite stock on it. Then you've got your trackers here. This is disabled. You can track PvE or track PvP kills. And then there's the catalyst, which I'm not entirely sure what it does. Let me see if I can look this up. I should be able to look it up. But yeah, that is weird that they would put an extended mag on a rocket launcher, but then it doesn't increase your magazine size like it's supposed to. I'm going to look on Destiny Item Manager, and I should be able to pick this up. No, I can't. I don't have it in my inventory. Okay, so let me try a different way. If my screen will come up. Let's go to power weapons. Oh, here it is at the top. No, I'm just trying to get a description of what the catalyst actually does. Normally when it adds stats, the stats will be highlighted over here. The stats will be highlighted over here once you hover over it like this, but it's not doing anything, so I'm not sure what the catalyst does for it. I think one other place I can check is here. Let's see, rockets. Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go, Wardcliff. Yeah, it's not telling me what it does, so I'm not sure. It's weird. All right, so the other thing for hunters, the Celestial Nighthawk, the total stat number is good because you're looking, well, the lowest you're looking for is a 60. Anything below a 60, especially for an exotic, would not be good. 62 is pretty good, but I mean 63, 64 even would be great. And the other thing with Hunter, the resilience recovery is pretty good actually. You can put a mobility mod on it to get you to 13 points plus 13 mobility. This is fair. I think the plus 15 for resilience, maybe they could have moved that up to mobility, but this is okay. As long as the recovery is fair, I'm fine with the plus 16. And like I said, I would grab this and put a mobility mod on it, because you do want your mobility on hunters specifically to be higher, because the mobility stat is actually going to help your dodge regeneration rate for that's your class ability. But the total number is good. His stats aren't too bad. It's just, yeah, hunters usually want more mobility for their class ability regen. Now Titans want resilience. The total number here is 63. Too much mobility. Yeah, like this should have been the plus 12. Like the mobility that should have been for Hunter. Resilience is pretty good. The recovery is not good. So for me, like the discipline is great. The total of 63 is good. The resilience is good. Too much mobility, not enough recovery. And then I wouldn't put a recovery mod on here because that's going to take up an extra energy slot. And then especially this being an exotic, if you usually put an armor mod on it, you only want to take up, I would say, 3 slots instead of 4. So mobility, if you want to put mobility on here, that's 3. Resilience is 3. But anytime you need a recovery mod, it's going to take up 4 slots instead of 3 of them. So that's what I don't like about this particular piece. Because then that's only going to leave you 6. If you masterwork this, which that's going to be expensive for exotics, you're only going to have 6 slots left to equip whatever else is over here. Like this is a 4, right? So if you have 4 recovery mod and then you put on high energy fire at 4, you're only going to have 2 energy slots left. And that's if this is masterworked. So yeah, anytime that I feel like I have to put a recovery mod on a piece of armor, and then I just skip it. I don't grab it. But if you don't have one-eyed mask at all for your Titan, definitely get it anyway, because this is one of the better exotic helmets for this, for Titans. Now, I will say, as far as the perk for this, it doesn't rely on a specific subclass. So this highlights the target who dares to damage you, track down and destroy them for an overshield. Yeah, so any damage you take, I believe it highlights the targets, and then once you kill the targets, you get an overshield, which is great. So this is not attached to Void or Arc, Solar, Stasis. Like, it doesn't matter what subclass you are. This is just all around generic use of this ability. Now, if you use something like Warlocks have Nezarec Sin, you definitely have to be Void subclass to use that. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything. If I remember correctly. So yeah, this is all around. This one is only for Solar subclass for Hunters, because that's the only subclass you can use with the Golden Gun. And again, if you don't have Celestial, I would definitely pick this one up. The total of 62 is good. The total of 63 points is good for this one. And finally, for Warlocks, I'm not crazy about this, the actual helmet, because it says the perk is insatiable ability energy on supercast. Allies get class energy. That's just not exciting, because like if you trigger your super, you're really not going to be worried about where your ability energy is, right? So your ability energy would be your rift for Warlocks. And so it's like I don't know why this is an exotic perk. And then the same thing for your allies. Your allies recharge their class ability faster. So hunters would get their dodge recharge would get a boost. For Titans, your barricade would get a boost as far as recharge rate. And then Warlocks again, your rift. Once you trigger your super, you would get your rift would recharge faster. But again, I mean that's just not. I wouldn't use up an exotic space for that. I need if I'm gonna. You can only use one exotic piece of armor at a time. So yeah, I wouldn't use it this at all. As far as the total number at 63 is good. Where the stats are distributed, you do need recovery for warlocks. So they put the plus 17 in the right spot. There's probably a little bit too much mobility. I don't mind the mobility being at plus 2 minimum. So mobility I would say would be plus 2, and I would take the extra 4 points and put that on resilience. So instead of resilience being at plus 9, that would kick it to 13. So I would like that better. But if you don't have this at all and you just want to try it out to see how you like it, the recovery at plus 17 is pretty good. It's pretty good. But for me, the discipline's plus 2, so that's really not what I want, because the discipline's attached to your grenade recharge rate. So yeah, I would skip it just because I don't want to use. I need something more exciting. So Titans, this one's good. Hunters, this one's good if you want to run solar. Wardcliff, even though they have extended mag on it and it doesn't extend the magazine to 2 shots, I would still pick it up because it's just fun to use. This is your cipher if you don't have one. And again, legendary shards, it costs 97 to pick this one up, and I think this is account wide. So even though I got 3 characters, I can only pick this up once. All right, for the legendaries, this is more, gosh, I guess it depends on what you like to use. I do like the 180s. This is a 180 RPM. Subsistence is good. Disruption break is okay because for me it's a little bit too situational. You would probably run into like a Vex because the Vex are the ones that have void shields. But it says breaking an enemy's shield with this weapon makes them more vulnerable to kinetic damage for a brief period. Okay, so I misunderstood. It doesn't have to be a void shield. You just break the shield with this weapon, makes them more vulnerable to kinetic damage for a brief period. It's not bad, but yeah. And then I'm not a hand cannon user anyway. I don't use the hand cannons very much, so this is really old. This is year 1 Destiny 2 old. Disruption break again with Rampage. 390 RPMs. It's okay. I don't use this one in either. Royal Chase used to be one of my favorites. This one has full auto, which I would skip over. Threat detector. Perk's not very good, but if you don't have it, this is one of my favorite scouts. Now I don't use it very much anymore because of Vouchsafe. When Vouchsafe came out, which is a scout from the Dreaming City, it's also Void Scout Rifle. I started using that one, but this is my second favorite on the list. The perks aren't very good though. Full auto, threat detector. Yeah, because even with threat detector, I treat Royal Chase as a longer range weapon, so I'm shooting enemies from more of a distance. Um, so threat detector doesn't come into play as much as you might think. Well, with the way that I play. Yeah, like the barrel, accurized rounds. Yeah, this is not as good as I would hope. And then reload speed for the masterwork, I would skip over that too. So yeah, it's just the what comes on the weapon I'm not crazy about. Okay, we got Widow's Bite. This is firmly planted and quick draw. Quick draw is good for PvP. Um, firmly planted is good for PvE. But for me, I don't crouch at all during gameplay, so I don't use firmly planted. And then I don't play PvP very much at all, so I don't, quick draw isn't great for me, so I would skip over this one. Far future, we got slide shot and thresh. Again, slide shot is more for crucible PvP, thresh is for PvE. So I wouldn't say they mesh well together. And then you get super energy from kills with this weapon. It's okay, but yeah, and I don't use snipers very much. All right, we got a heavy weapon, Honor's Edge. Relentless Strikes and Surrounded is all right, but I definitely have better options than this one. Xenoclast. Now, the thing that gets me with this one is the rounds per minute is up at 80, which is pretty high. So it definitely shoots faster than the average shotgun, so that's a good thing about it. Now, as far as the perks, we've got Vanguard's Vindication. Grant a small amount of health. Okay, that reminds me of Thresh. Trench Barrel. After a successful melee hit, this weapon gains increased damage, handling, and reload speed. That's not bad, because shotguns usually reload slow. Okay. It's got Field Prep. Now, okay, I used to get Field Prep confused with Firmly Planted because of the crouching. They both have stats that you can get when you're crouching, right? But Field Prep has increased ammo reserves just as an added bonus. And so even if you don't crouch at all like me, you still get the increased ammo reserves. So for a shotgun, that's very good. You got Grave Robber. Melee final blows reload this weapon from the magazine, which I don't really pay attention to. So I would say Trench Barrel is okay. Grave Robber is like, Field Prep is actually pretty good, even with the crouching. I usually skip over Extended Mag simply because it decreases the reload speed so much. But you can switch this to accurized rounds. Increased range is actually not bad on a shotgun, simply because a lot of times we'll have shotguns as champion mods. With the increased range, you can shoot the champion mods from a further distance away and still stun them. So that's an added bonus. And also you see with the stats, the reload speed is increased by, what is that? 20 points? Yeah. It goes from 34 to 54 reload speed. Yeah, so that's why I don't really like Extended Mag. Even though you get more in the magazine, it just kills the reload speed. Oh my goodness. And with the barrels, there's small bore and corkscrew rifling. You get a little bit of advantage with small bore as far as range stability. But yeah, these are pretty much the same. You get a little bit of a boost in handling with corkscrew. But as far as the main perks, I would probably say field prep, trench barrel, and I like the fact that this is 80 RPMs. If you want to stick with extended mag, you get 6 in the magazine. If you switch to accurized rounds, it'll probably drop to 6 in the mag, and that's still pretty good. The masterwork is handling. That's not bad, because handling how much or little recoil you experience when firing this weapon. So having good handling on it, along with the good range, that's pretty good. So yeah, if you don't have that weapon, go ahead. I would still put first in, last out over this as far as arc shotguns go, but this is pretty good. Okay, so the armor. Oh my gosh. How did this happen? Okay, so I was saying before, like, you want the total stat number to be in the 60s, mainly 63, 64, right? So this is a 63. That part is good. The issue is the distribution. Too much mobility for Titans. You're mainly looking for resilience, and for me, I'm looking for resilience first, then recovery, and then mobility can be last on Titans. But resilience first, then recovery, mobility's last. This one, they have mobility has the most points out of those top 3 stats, and then recovery at 12, and then resilience at 6, and so this is backwards. The bottom 3 stats are paired together. Discipline's at 2, which I want that to have the most points. I would say strength would be second, and then intellect is third, because I don't use my super that much. If you use a super all the time, then intellect is good here at 12. If you use your melee more, then 17 is good. But for me, I use discipline, my grenades more, or the most. So +2 is not good for me. But I would say out of the top 3 stats that are paired together in terms of points, not enough resilience, too much mobility, and the recovery at 12 is just not good enough. So I would skip over this one. And again, like I said, mobility way too much at +19. That the +19 was really supposed to go on resilience. 11 recovery is it's okay. The total at 64 is great, but again, the stat distribution on those top 3 stats, not good. And then I will mention again, for all the beginner players, the top 3 stats are paired together, and the bottom 3 stats are paired together. So you have mobility, resilience, recovery is going to take up half the points, and then discipline, intellect, strength is going to use the other half of the points. And then those are going to be put together to get your total at 64. So for example, the top 3 stats, you got mobility at 19, you add on the +2 resilience as 21, and then you add on the +11 for recovery, and that'll give you 32 points. And so of course you do the divide. You divide 64, by 2, you have 32, right? So the top 3 stats, they're going to combine for 32 points. Your bottom 3 stats are going to combine for 32 points. That gives you the 64. Now, how the points are distributed, it just depends on RNG, which is just a random generated number, or a random number generator. And when they say random, it's totally random. So even though you're, even though Titans are supposed to, focus more on resilience, the RNG, it doesn't care what class it is. It's just going to throw out a number. So that's the problem that you run into. Now, the class item for all 3 characters, they're not going to have stats on them until you put something on there. So it's just going to be blank. There's not going to be a point total on these. Now you got the helmet. The discipline is awesome, because that's the stat I'm looking for my grenades, my grenade regeneration rate. Too much mobility, not enough recovery, or like the resilience at +9 is actually passable, right? Because I can put on a resilience mod to add 10 points to it. That'll get me to 19. And then I can masterwork this piece of armor, which will add 2 points. That'll get me to +21 resilience. But then my recovery is just too low. Mobility is too much. I don't need that much mobility. The total number, yes, it is 60, but I wouldn't mind it being like a 63, 64, add a few points on to that. But really, it's just too much mobility with this one. Golly, same problem. And this is even worse because I would have to put a recovery mod on here, which is going to take up four points an extra energy slot. Yeah, so 61 is all right. It's above 59. But the distribution of the points is just not great. Yeah, yikes. And then the last 2 weapons, these 2 weapons, Hawkmoon and Deadman's Tale, they're kind of unique in that they're a static roll, but like there's no other options here, right? It's static, but the static roll changes every week. So they have different static rolls. So this time you have extended barrel. Again, it's gonna kill your reload speed. Alloy magazine, faster reloads when the magazine is empty. You're probably gonna need this simply because you've got extended barrel on here. That's gonna, I think it's gonna kill the reload speed by like 20 points. And then you've got quick draw. This is the only main trait that you have, I believe. Yeah, this is the only main trait you have. So you would really have to love quick draw. This weapon can be drawn unbelievably fast. For me, that's really not important. So yeah, I would skip this one. And then you got smooth grip for the grip. Increases stability, increases handling speed, which is not bad. The catalyst is already finished for me, so that's why it's highlighted in yellow. It's got the yellow border around it. It increases the magazine size. I think you go from 8 to 9. Grants increased handling, reload speed, and weapon range based on the number of stacks of paracausal charge. Now, paracausal charge is here, or this says shot. Final blows and precision hits with Hawkmoon grant stacks of paracausal charge. The final round in the magazine deals bonus damage based on the number of stacks. Stowing Hawkmoon on the final round removes this bonus. Yeah, so you can't get to the last shot of the magazine and switch weapons, or you're gonna lose that last shot that has bonus damage on it. Paracausal charge, it would be easier to show you guys this, but it's basically if you get 7 precision hits, before you reload, you're gonna have that final shot in the magazine is gonna have crazy damage on it. So let's say you got 8 in the magazine, right? And you get your first 7 shots are all precision hits, but they're all precision hits. The 8th shot in the magazine is gonna have crazy damage on it. So make sure that you don't miss that shot. You keep an eye on how many precision hits. Because if you missed the shot, then you just wasted, quite a bit of damage on that particular critical hit, or just, it can be a body shot. It's just going to have increased damage on it. But if you're impatient, you don't have this weapon, you can go ahead and pick it up. I do like it because it does have some good ornaments on it. This is probably my favorite. But this one is also pretty good because of the laser sighting on the bottom. And then this one, I don't think this is the one that I really don't care for. So yeah, that one I would have to pay, how much is this? $7? Yeah. 700 silver, which is $7 actually in real money. But I have this one and I have this one, which I usually go with this one. I wish that this one had the laser sighting on the bottom of it too, but I guess they had to take something away and have a reason for you to get this one, because this one, it actually doesn't look bad, but it looks extra good because of this sighting on the bottom. And then here's your kill trackers for PvE, PvP. Yeah, and then there's a catalyst, so there we go. DMT, Dead Man's Tale. Now you have to look at what you need as well. The Glimmer, you need 125,000 Glimmer for both of these. 200 legendary shards. You need 1 exotic cipher and 1 ascendant shard. So that's why I say, like, if you buy this, you're really gonna have to light the static roll. Otherwise, just wait until next week. And he has both of these weapons. He has Hawkmoon and Dead Man's Tale every single week, or I should say weekend. So just be patient and try to get something as close to what you want as possible. And this one has Hammer Forge rifling on the barrel. The magazine is light mag. I actually like moving target. But there's other, like I said, you only get 1 trait for these weapons. So there's some other options that are better. I mean, for me, I use Vorpal Weapon right here. But I think that moving target would probably be my second favorite, because even though you're supposed to use DMT with hip fire and not aim down sights, but I still do. I still aim down sights, I'm sorry. And then you got, for the stock, short action stock greatly increases handling speed. I am working on the catalyst. I think it's like, what, 700 kills for this that I need. But anyway, once you get the catalyst to drop, you just need to defeat a whole bunch of targets with it in order to complete the catalyst. And then once you complete the catalyst, you can equip it. And once I complete it, it says removes hip fire accuracy penalties and increases rate of fire from hip. Stacks of cranial spike increase hip rate of fire further. So there's a couple of things that it does. But anyway, basically players like using this because once you equip the catalyst, you don't have to aim down sights. You just basically run around Crucible firing from the hip. And you don't have any accuracy penalties. So normally if you just run around with a weapon like this and try to fire from the hip, you're not going to hit anybody with it. Your aim is going to be terrible. But this callus actually allows you to have pretty darn good accuracy, even though you're firing from the hip. So not having to aim down sights and losing your radar, you get to keep an eye on your radar and fire with this thing. And because the impact is up here at 67, which is really good, that's crazy good. Now cranial spike, chaining precision hits grants bonus target acquisition and range. So again, it's precision hits. So I think what this also does, stacks of cranial spike increase hip fire rate further. Oh, the hip fire rate further. Okay, so the rounds per minute is 120. And I guess if you have cranial spike stacked, I don't know how many stacks you would need, but the RPMs can actually jump up from 120 to something else higher, 141. I don't know. I don't think it would go as high as a 180 RPM. I don't know. I'll have to test it out and see what it does. Like, does it feel like a 180 or a 140 RPM? Because the 120s are slower. They are slower as far as rate of fire. So, but yeah, I'm interested to see what that would be. But yeah, again, moving target isn't that bad for me. But again, like the top tier players, the hardcore players would say this is a waste because you're basically using DMT to shoot from the hip. So if you're getting increased movement speed and target acquisition when you're aiming down sights, that defeats the whole purpose of having the callus. So there you go. For me, callus or not, like I said, I don't care. I just like aiming down sights. So these are the armor pieces for Titan. All the classes are going to have the same weapons. So I think what I'm going to do is, hold on, let me see if I actually want something for him. Nope. Nope. No. And no. Yeah, so the problem with Titan, too much mobility. Like, and this is ridiculous with the mobility. So too much mobility. Now, if this was Hunter, by all means, snag it because the mobility is great. But Titans, their class ability is not tied to, well, their class ability regen is not tied to mobility. It's tied to resilience. So, you're gonna want resilience with him. For hunters, you're going to want mobility. For warlocks, you're going to want recovery. A lot of recovery. So Titan, I mean, he's at tier 10 right now. And it says Titan class stat reduces the cooldown of your class ability. So that's awesome. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the other two classes and see if they did better this week with Xur. Because as far as the legendary armor is concerned, yeah, they gave Titan too much mobility. I'm going to go ahead and check Warlock. Now, Warlock is my main character. And I've played with Warlock most of the season, but I'm trying to give more attention to Titan and Hunter now that the season's almost over. And I'll just check on the legendary armor because I've showed you guys everything else. And hopefully you guys got this ship. I think it was available in Eververse 2 weeks ago for Bright Dust. I think it was 1500 Bright Dust. And like I said before, for me, I try not to spend silver. I just bought $10 worth of silver a couple days ago because of Hunter's armor set in Eververse. I'm missing a piece, so I had to pay $3 for it because I don't think they're gonna offer any more individual armor pieces in Eververse for Bright Dust. So yeah, I missed that week when the leg armor was available. I'll show you guys when I get to Hunter. But my Warlock, which I spoil him like crazy, but I still need to see what else they have over here.
Warlock, I will try to explain. I am an agent of the Nine.
Okay, so same character. Well, it's a different character, but you get the same thing on this first tab. Same weapons, that type of thing. The only thing that changes with different characters, or different classes I should say, is the armor up here. Again, the class item is not going to have stats attached to it. See, this is what gets on my nerves. Okay, first of all, the total number is 59, which is a point below the base of where it's supposed to be, or where we want it to be. You want 60 minimum, but 60 and higher, right? They gave us a 59. This would be okay if this was a Titan, because you've got 20 in the resilience, right? Which is really good for Titan. But for Warlock, you want recovery, and we only have +6. And then I'm not going to use a recovery mod, so I can't do anything with that. So yeah, that's a pass. Skip over that. This one, the total is 62. That's more like it. The recovery is a little bit low. I would prefer the recovery resilience be swapped. The mobility is perfect at +2. That's where I wanted it at personally. Discipline's good. Intellect's alright. The strength is okay. But I'm gonna pass on this one because, again, I would have to put a recovery mod on it because the recovery is at 12 is still too low. Okay, so for me, when I masterwork it, I want the recovery and the resilience to be at least 20, right? So a lot of times that means that the recovery, I need it to be +18 at least. And then the resilience would have to be, gosh, at least a +8. Right? So ideally, I'm looking for recovery at +18, resilience at +8. And then on resilience, I would put on an armor mod to get it to 18, masterwork it, and there you go. They'll both jump to 20. But recovery is too low. No stats on this one. The helmet, again, too much mobility. They just didn't do anything with recovery at +2. The resilience is okay. But yeah, yeah. Now the discipline is good. Intellect is all right. Strength is non-existent. And then you look at the total at 58, that's low. I would definitely skip over that. For the leg armor, mobility is good, but again, I would swap the resilience recovery. I would actually put 18 on recovery. Now, if this was Titan, this would be good, even though I would have to put a recovery mod on it. Ideally, it would be better for Titan, but for Warlocks, no. This is not gonna go, because I already have better drops for Warlock than this one. 62 total points is great. Discipline is below where I want it to be. Strength is good. Intellect is all right. At plus 10, actually, intellect is pretty good. But again, it's just, yeah, I would swap resilience recovery with this one for me. So yeah, there's nothing that I can really pick up here. Now, the only other thing that I can think of is if you don't have this gear set, because this is the old gear set. This gear set is from, what icon is this? Oh, this is from the Rasputin expansion. Yeah, this is old. Maybe year 2, somewhere in there. And I think we're in year 5. This is year 5 of Destiny 2. So yeah, I think this is around about year 2 when this came out. So I don't even know if you can get this in the game anymore. You probably can't. Yeah, because this was from Zavala. You would go to Zavala, the vendor, and the vendor menu, and you would be able to earn this, because this is all Vanguard. The old Vanguard armor set for strikes. Before they switched it, what, a year ago or so? A year ago they switched the Vanguard armor set. So anyway, this is not in the game anymore. So for hunters, titans, warlocks, if you don't have a particular set, or this particular set for one of your characters, or if you're missing a piece, then you can go ahead and pick it up. Now, in order for you to check it, you would go to your collections and go to armor. So here's the armor. For warlock, let's see, what would it be under? This is Gambit. I don't think it's under world. Here it is, factions. So here's, as long as everything's lit, there's nothing that's dim, then you have everything. Now for hunter, yeah, he has everything. And Titan, he also has everything. But if they're missing a piece, like down here, this is the new set, it'll be a little bit dim. Like this looks like it's highlighted, and then this is dimmed out. So I'm missing the gauntlets, and the leg armor I'm also missing. Now you can't pick up anything from here because it's all randomized gear. So this menu is basically just showing you what you do and don't have. And then if you're missing something with the ornaments, they're just not going to be here. The space is going to be empty for ornaments, but for actual armor pieces, they'll be dimmed out. What is this? This is for hunter. I must have picked up something. Oh, the Eternal Vengeance set. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys that later. And then for Gambit, oh, this piece. Okay. All right. But anyway, that's how you check. And pretty much every week or weekend that Xur shows up, he will have something up here as far as legendary armor that's not in the game anymore most of the time. So even if the stats are garbage and you can't use it, or the stats are not distributed correctly, you can still pick these up anyway just to unlock it in your collections, and I guess just check it off. Or if you just really like a piece in here, you can transmog it onto an armor piece that you're using. So all right, one more character. We're gonna go to Hunter. Okay, so Warlock is done. Titan, I looked. Finally a Hunter, and yes, that's the gear set I was referring to, where it's the one where you get from Eververse this season. So some people have had this since the beginning of the season because they decided to spend $15 to $20 to get the set, and me, I'm like, no. I tried to get as much of it as I could with Bright Dust, but they don't always offer it. So if you are trying to get it, this set for Bright Dust, like I said, they only offer one piece at a time per week, and it's not consistently because the first 3 weeks of the season they didn't offer it at all, a piece for Bright Dust. But I think it's this tab, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so it's this tab. This is the Eververse set for this season. And again, like once a week, so on Tuesday reset, sometimes they offer one piece for, was it like 1200 Bright Dust, and then once you grab it, you just have to wait a week to the following Tuesday and see if they offer another one. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The week that they offered the leg armor, I forgot to jump on my Hunter and pick it up for Bright Dust. So yesterday or the day before, I just went ahead and paid $3 and bought it. Now it's only based on how many you have. Like if you buy a piece, then that $15 comes down by $3. Most of the time it's like $15 for the whole set. So yeah, this week they have the helmets available for all three classes. So if you want the helmet for Bright Dust, it's going to cost $1,200 for each class. So that's what I did. I went ahead and bought it. And especially for new players, I don't know how much Bright Dust you have to spare, but try to save up 15 and 20,000 and only spend your Bright Dust on what you really want, because it's hard to get Bright Dust in the game. It's not plentiful. Even if you go additional bounties, for each additional bounty you only get 10 Bright Dust per bounty. And for me, that's like not enough. That's not a lot. You get quite a bit of Bright Dust off the season pass, and then off of seasonal challenges, you get quite a bit of Bright Dust from there. But yeah, I like every season I just try to get all the bright dust I can off the season pass and off the seasonal challenges, and save it. And which means that I skip over buying a lot of stuff, but I guess like once a season they'll have something that I really want in terms of a gear set. So this season, Hunter's gear set for Eververse was just so good. I'm like, oh my goodness, I gotta buy it. But a lot of players, they don't want to skip over stuff. In terms of like saving their bright dust for just the really good stuff, they just want to buy a bunch of things. So they end up just paying real money for it with silver. And like I say, that's what I'm trying to stay away from. So the last thing I'm looking at for this particular stream is Hunter's gear. Okay, now this actually looks right. The only thing I can't say I would complain. With Hunter, my priority has kind of flipped a little bit to where I'm actually paying attention to his mobility. I'm gonna try it. I don't know if it's gonna work or if I'm gonna like this style of play, but normally I treat Hunter like the other two classes where I want a bunch of resilience and recovery. Now I'm trying to see if I can get a lot of mobility on Hunter, because that's what his class ability regen is attached to. Yeah, so for him, I finally did masterwork a full set of his gear. His mobility is low, but again, like I said, his class ability cooldown is tied to mobility. So because I want to dodge more, I need this to be more than a tier 4. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get this to tier 10, but it's maybe a 7 would be nice, because it's going to increase his base speed, increases the movement speed and the maximum jump height, which he does need, besides the cooldown rate of the dodge, which is his ability. And again, it annoys me that he doesn't have any shields of any kind on attached to the dodge, but the other classes do. And so yeah, that's what annoys me about the Hunter class. Anyway, 62 total is pretty good. But again, I would probably put a recovery mod on here, but I would probably stick to resilience mod. Mobility is good, discipline's all right, intellect is really good, strength is not great, but it's there. I don't know about, like, I can get this piece from anywhere though. I probably have more pieces like this anyway. Okay. And I'm not sure what to say about this. First of all, the total is 3 points below the bottom of where it's supposed to be from Xur. It is at least give me 60 points. I'm not saying 63, 64, 65 points. Give me 60. They got 57. You can get a 57 total from anywhere. This can drop anywhere in the game, really. It's not considered high stat armor. A high stat piece of armor is, the base of it is at 60. But really it's like a 63, 64, maybe even 65. I think I've gotten as high as a 67 for a high stat piece of armor without putting an ability or armor mod on it. So yeah, it's 3 points below that. I actually don't mind the recovery at 25. Is it overkill? Yes. But I can put a mobility mod on it. It'll bring the mobility to 12, which is okay, I guess. It's still below average, but it's more than I usually run on it anyway. The discipline's okay at 12. Intellect, I'm not really worried about. The strength is all right. I mean, if that was double digits of strength, that would be better. I'm gonna grab it.
It was the Nine's.
I'm gonna grab it.
Now it is yours.
Again, the class item, there's no stats on it, so you can use whatever you want for this. The helmet is a 62. The helmet did. I don't know why the chest piece didn't get the memo, but the helmet is 62. It just doesn't have a lot of stats that blow me away. Everything's kind of mediocre to average to below average. I don't know what I would do with this one. I mean, I would put a mobility mod on it. I would do that. Yeah, I would put a mobility mod on it. It's just the resilience and recovery are both like blah. So I don't know if that's what I want. And see, the helmet that I have on, that's how I used to stat everything, with the resilience and recovery being through the roof. So again, now I'm trying to switch up. I don't know what else I have. Let's see. Yeah, this is a 64, but another 64. Yeah, this is similar to the one that they're showing me now, where it's like everything's a little bit flat. It's got more. Okay, so the Took Offense has more recovery, more discipline, more mobility. It's got 2 points less of resilience, but the total has 2 points more. I'm gonna grab it.
May it change your fate.
I'm kind of on the fence with this type of role as far as the distribution. This one's about the same, but worse. This is about the same but worse. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the other thing too. My leg armor is the one that I have, the Lycan Strides, is really good. So I don't think the one Xur has is going to help me very much at all. Here's one that's kind of sort of like it, but yeah, this is pretty similar. Yeah, it's got 2 points less mobility, 7 points less resilience. But hold on, I think I can put. What did I put on here? On this one, if I can get the menu to come up. Okay, I didn't put anything on here yet. Okay. Oh wait a minute, I'm looking at the wrong thing, aren't I? Okay, the stat increase for the leg armor is, I put mobility on here. So the mobility mod gave me plus 10. So it's actually plus 6 on here. Golly, it's the discipline is terrible. That's the problem. On took offense, the discipline is terrible. Strength is like, again, I would prefer discipline over strength. And then Tustic Legion's the one that I have. The strength is terrible, but the discipline's awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna skip over this one. So yeah, I think the only one that I got was the helmet. And I think I got the helmet and in the chest piece. I do like the 16 mobility for the gauntlets. Yeah, that's crazy. And that's a 64 total. Yeah, 16, 8, and 6, 12 discipline. Yeah, the 8 and the 6 for resilience recovery, that is going to be way too low for the 16 that they're giving me in mobility. Okay, I'll have to figure that out later. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Gosh, where do I want to use this? Oh, I know where I want to. I should have jumped on this when I was on Warlock. I'll use it for him. And then once I show you guys what that drops as, then I'll go ahead and end this one, this topic. But yeah, I mean, it really does depend on where you want your stats. Do you want a bunch of strength for your charge melee? Do you want a bunch of discipline for your grenade recharge? Do you want a lot of intellect because you want to use your super more often? And then you got the top 3: mobility, resilience, recovery. For me, I still say recovery is the most important thing because, again, I don't want to put a recovery mod on a piece of armor. But yeah, it depends. And then I think that a lot, especially with hunters, changed because of the damage reduction that Bungie added to resilience. Because if you get your resilience to tier 10, your damage reduction is going to be 40%, which means that you running into anything, you're taking 40% less damage. And for hunters without a shield, they don't have a rift, they don't have a barricade, they just dodge, and their dodge doesn't automatically give you an overshield. So if you don't put on an exotic that gives you an overshield, during with your dodge, or gives you like a health bump or something, you're just dodging without any type of protection at all, like extra protection. So that 40% damage reduction for hunters, I mean, that's really important because you're just out, you're just exposed. Like even when you use your class ability. Now, warlocks are my favorite because their class ability, you get a rift and you're just in this protective bubble once, because I use the healing bubble or healing rift. For Titans, you do get a barricade, so you're behind this protective wall, and you give your health a chance to regenerate. But again, for hunters, I mean, they just don't have anything. They just have to move out of the way and find cover.
My motions on. I am an agent of the Nine.
All right, so for this particular thing, and like I said, this will be the last thing before I sign off for this one. I would say just make sure that whatever your secondary is, or maybe even your main, but for me, I've got a disciplined armor on my ghost. So the armor pieces with random stats you acquire have a guaranteed minimum of 10 discipline and are more likely to drop with higher discipline. So this can be any stat, right? It can be any stat. So for me, in that second set of stats, I want at least 10 discipline on there. So that's why I have this. But you can go mobility. There's intellect. There's discipline. There's resilience. Strength. So you just pick one. I used to go recovery armor all the time because like I said, I want at least 10 points, or I want like a really high recovery rate. But then that means that my discipline, too often my discipline was like 6 or 7 points on a piece of armor. So this guarantees that I get at least 10, but now I'm just praying that the recovery is not bad. That's what's really happening now. So now it's just like praying that my recovery and resilience aren't terrible. But anyway, when you're picking up the exotic from Xur, just equip on your ghost where you want at least that 10 point minimum at. And in everything else, again, you're running into RNG, which is the random number generator. I've got too much stuff here now. And the reason I'm using him is because yesterday I got this drop. And look at the mobility. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I did get at least 10 points with discipline, but out of the 65 points, mobility chewed up 24. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's not usable, which means that I got to go back into a solo Legend Lost sector and try to get a better stat distribution for this helmet. Now it's a 65 point total, which is awesome. But I don't need, I'm on Warlock, he doesn't need 24 mobility. The game knows he doesn't need 24 mobility, but it's just, anyway. Yeah. So that's where that is. That was frustrating. Now, can I get that helmet to drop here? I don't know. I guess after you unlock it for the first time, you can, but I'm not sure about that. I think I'm going to have to go solo Legend Lost Sector again just to try to get this helmet to drop again. But this is 97 legendary shards. Oh, so that confirmed what I was thinking because Dawn Chorus is actually from you. The first time you get it, it has to be from a legend, a solo legend lost sector. So that's the first time that I got it. But the roll from Dawn Chorus that I got before is not very good. Let me see if I can grab this. Let me grab it. Before I see what it is, like the stats, I'm going to show you guys what I got the first time. I didn't throw it away, or dismantle it, I should say, but I did throw it in the vault because I was like, the stats are not very good. Okay, so this is the Dawn Chorus that I got from the solo Legend Lost sector. So I ran in there, I was trying to get Dawn Chorus, and it did drop finally. But again, this is what it did. It gave me too much mobility. It's only 60 points as far as the total. It didn't give me any resilience really. Recovery is like below average. The rest of the stats are all right as far as the bottom three stats, but the top three, too much mobility. Recovery is non-existent, not enough. Well, resilience non-existent, not enough recovery. So they just gave me another one. So I'm curious to see what Xur dropped. Okay, so he gave me a 63. The discipline's excellent. The recovery's at 18, like I was telling you guys about. The only thing is, my only little gripe, and it's a little gripe, the +7 mobility. If they could have given me 2 points more in resilience, or take the mobility down to 4, at least 4, take that extra 3 points and put it on resilience, that would have been perfect. Well, not perfect, but close enough, right? But the recovery at +18, that's, like I was saying earlier, that's the base of what I'm looking for as far as where I want the recovery at. So then I can put a resilience mod on here, and get this. Let me turn on the other stats. Like, okay, so get this to 16. Now this is going to be 16 instead of 18. I really want to go for 18 on the resilience too, but it's not going to be perfect. Now, again, the reason that I say I don't ever want to use a recovery mod, again, is because of it's 4 points. It's for energy, which means that I've only got 6 possible energies left to use on here with everything else instead of 3. So I put the resilience mod on here. The other thing with exotics, these things are crazy expensive to masterwork. So with this one, I can go up to 7, I think, without it costing me too much. Once you get to 7, it's gonna start costing you enhancement prisms, and then once you get to your energy at 9, in order to get it to 10, you're going to have to spend 3 ascendant shards. So that is expensive. So basically, when I get a drop like this, I'll push it to 7, maybe even 8. But if I have to use a recovery mod on it, and I'm only bringing it up to 7, I've got 3 spots left. And you've got a bunch of mods that you can use across the board, right? You just start running out of, I like to use Font of Might, but that's 4 energy right there. So So that's why I'm saying stay away from the recovery mod. It would be my advice. Because even though recovery is probably the first or the second, stat that I went on there as far as priority, um, I want it to already be really good on recovery so that I can say, okay, I'll put resilience on here. That's only 3. I still got 4 spaces left. And now I can put Font of Might on here without having to spend more material on this, right? And when you're trying to manage 3 characters and you've only got 1 pool of material, you can go through the material really fast. So you have to be really selective on, okay, where am I going to spend my enhancement prisms or my ascendant shards? So that's yeah, that's the thing. But anyway, that's where that is. And again, this is a 63 base as far as the number. That's really good. Now, that means that I can get Falling Sunstar to drop again without having to solo that legend Lost Sector. But I don't know. Let me see. I don't have a bunch of sources left for me to get exotic drops, like just random drops. I can go, I guess Nightfalls would be the way to go. Hero Nightfalls, Legend Nightfalls to get drops like that. I'm going to lock this one. I'm going to unlock this one and get rid of it because I don't need it anymore. Okay, so that's all I got. I got 6 legendary shards, 500 glimmer for that in terms of material, which was not a lot at all. But yeah, this is a much better drop. So thank you, Zer, for a change for that. Now, the only other way I can get it from him at this point is to use an exotic cipher. Now, if I use a cipher, that means that I gotta get another one. Complete Vanguard playlist activities. Win matches in Crucible or Gambit. Extra progress is rewarded for challenging activities and for succeeding with clanmates. And you got to get 21 of these. Actually, I'm actually thinking of trying it again because I don't need it for this, right? Okay. I'm probably going to try that again. I just don't know which character I'm going to try it with. But this particular drop is account wide. So once you use it on one character, you're not going to have access to it on your other 2 characters. Right, so this part is definitely account wide. But yeah, that's what Zer has for today going into, well, for me it's going to be Monday afternoon, because the reset for me in my time zone is 1 p.m. So I'm 3 hours ahead of Bungie, because Bungie's the reset is 10 a.m. They're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, so I'm 3 hours ahead of them. So their 10 a.m. is my 1 p.m. So I have to come here at 1 p.m. and check on this thing. So Tuesday at 1 p.m. for me, he should disappear. So yeah, from Friday, Bungie time, 10 a.m. to, it's Tuesday, Tuesday 10 a.m. So Friday 10 a.m. to Tuesday 10 a.m. He's going to be around. And then 10 a.m. Tuesday is actually the weekly reset. And that's when he should disappear. So you have, what, 4 days, right, to figure out what you want to do. Or if you're missing a cipher, you can grind this out during that 4 days to get it, and then grab this. If you don't have an exotic cipher. We don't even need this helmet for Warlock. We don't. They can take that out of the game. It's not an exciting exotic at all. But thank you guys for listening. This was a very long video. Normally, you have the Xur videos. They are very short and to the point. For me, I just went through the process of how I pick gear. Yeah, I basically went through the entire process of how I pick gear. So you guys will understand like why you would get a certain piece, why you might not, what each class is looking for. So yeah, that was the long way of talking about this.
Guardian, report.
All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and have a great weekend. Take care.